So you can take us through today's session and welcome everyone and thank you so much. Welcome, Diana.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm Diana Nekesa. I'm the current campus Mitu League JKUAT chapter and an activist. Before I introduce the team, let me just mention briefly what we're talking about today. We are going to talk about how the youth can utilize or explore digital spaces to achieve sustainable development goals. So basically, a comprehensive discussion on the role of digital in sorry about that, in achieving sustainable development goals, particularly from the perspective of youth involvement. So we have four speakers. I will introduce them. We have Cedric. Just a minute, kindly.
Yeah, thank you. Diana, I'm Cedric, Peer Counseling Club Kemu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Cedric, the vice chairperson Kemo Peer Mentors Club. We have Maina, he's a programs officer. We have Ruth Wamuhu, she's the gender and social welfare secretary took. And we also have Brian Odeka, he's the director, Kenya Kesho Academy. I hope they're all present. So before I confirm if they're all present, each speaker will be allocated maximum 10 minutes per question. So kindly observe time and I encourage each one of you to relate the points to examples. And we will also have a Q&A session in the last segment. So the audience feel free to ask questions in the chat box. Cedric, I can see he's around. Is Maina, are you around? Maina? Okay, so not yet.
Thank you, Diana. Sorry about that. Hi, good
Oh,
evening, everyone. Good to see you. Good to have you. Welcome to today's session. And yeah, I'm glad to be here. As they've said, my name is Mariah Maina. I'm a programs officer at City Africa Coaching Group, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here. Looking forward to even getting to interact with each and every one of you, answering your questions that we also get to learn, unlearn, and also relearn. Thank you very much. Back to you, Diana.
okay. Thank you for confirming. Is Brian Odeka in the room with us? Odeka.
Yes, I'm in the room. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Is Ruth in the room with us?
Yes, I'm present. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Ruth Wamuhu. Apologies for joining late. I just got home. Happy International Youth Day. I'm the Gender Secretary at the Technical University of Kenya. I'm also a high standing member. I don't know, a good standing member. I don't know whether that's of YMCA, and I'm glad to be part of this particular wonderful conversation as we leverage technology in advocating for youth participation, especially in governance and in all other areas, especially healthcare. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I really hope I'm audible. Okay, so my first question goes to Cedric. So, Cedric, I would like you to define digital spaces.
Thank you so much, Diana, for the question. Uh, a digital space with the current Gen Z tech society, we can consider the digital space as any virtual or online environment where we as people, like netizens, communicate and collaborate, or maybe where people interact with each other through digital content. Some of the digital spaces that we have right now are X, Facebook, Twitter. There is another one, TikTok. All those are digital spaces. Any online environment, like basically an environment that is existing in the digital realm rather than the physical one. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So what's its importance in achieving sustainable development goals after your definition?
Please come again. You broke up.
Sorry about that. So you have defined what digital spaces are. I would like you to tell us the importance of digital spaces in achieving sustainable development goals.
Thank you so much. First of all, where are these goals coming from? We might be speaking of, sustainable development goals, yet there is somebody who doesn't know them. So at, Kenya, we have a vision. It's called Vision 2030, which is to transform our country into maybe an industrialized middle-income country, providing a high quality of life for all its citizens by 2030 in a clean and secure environment. So there are some goals that were set that by 2030 you should have achieved these goals, and if not achieved them, we should have at least landed on some of them. So there are 17 goals, but I won't mention all of them. Maybe just for example, there's the no poverty, zero hunger goal, good health, quality education, and so on. And these goals are the SDGs that you're talking about. So the question was how the digital spaces, the importance of digital spaces in the digital space in achieving sustainable development goals. So personally, I think first of all, in the goal, the SDG 3, which speaks about promoting good health and well-being, the digital space has come in handy by introducing this thing called telemedicine. Most these days, when you are sometimes sick, or maybe you want to find out some meds of the condition you're having, you just go at the tap of your button, at the click of your computer, check, and you can find even an online doctor there who can really help you. And also, there are also these health apps like Huduma Afya, Equity Afya, and online health info that really support this goal, the goal number 3, that is to promote good health and well-being. Another one is there's inventions that, according to goal number 13, the climate, it's good climate and I think sustainability, something like that, good climate and environment. The digital space has come in about is there have been inventions, maybe like satellite imaging, which help us know how our weather is faring and how the weather affects how the current weather situation alters the climate change. And we have seen conferences, we have seen online workshops of climate change and stuff. Another one is about education, which is the SDG number 4. Is, nobody can refute that we have seen these online studies, online, they are called e-learning. I don't know, yeah, they are e-learnings. There's this thing that has been invented to now the education system has been made remote. Now everyone, everywhere, even in the village, you've seen the green pads. They're called e-tablets or something. Those are really enhancing in promoting the SDG number 4, which is education. They are really helping the marginalized community getting to learn. Now you can go to a place like, let's say I'm traveling to Kisumu and I left my notes in Nairobi. I can still access them through the e-resources you get. So I believe the digital space is really working through to get us to achieving those SDGs, if not all of them, some of them. Also, I would have mentioned all of them, but I'm working with time. There's economic growth, the SDG number 8. The digital, this current economy is a digital economy. where you can find, the market has been, we were told that we live in a global market where if I have my goods in Kenya, I can trade them via TikTok or maybe via IG to somebody in the UK, and we can, come into terms and really get to a business agreement or understanding. So I believe, I can share the notes after this. I believe that the digital space has really come in handy in achieving most of these goals that we are aiming, the Vision 2030 goals. And if we continue like this as the takes of using the digital space, like we are a generation that is adept with technology, the Generation Z, I believe that by 2030 we'll have achieved most of these goals and we'll be a happy nation and getting towards, the middle country. Will not be the the third world economy country. Will now be a step ahead. Thank you so much, Dan.
Okay, thank you so much for the explanation for talking about the sustainable development goals. So, to you, Ruth, Cedric has told us the importance of digital platforms in achieving the SDG. So, I want you to tell us how young people can use digital platforms to influence policy and advocate for changes that support the sustainable development.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Dana, for that question. I think yes, they have done they've done really, really well in explaining how young people can leverage on digital platforms to enhance sustainable development goals, or rather, creating awareness about sustainable development goals. I think one of the ways that young people um, can take advantage of digital platforms and technology is by carrying out social media campaigns. I think that one of the ways that young people have gotten to understand what SDGs are is by running social media campaigns, either by SDG Kenya, SDG Africa, engaging young people on Twitter Spaces, on Instagram Spaces as well. So there's an example of, I don't know if you've ever had an experience with this, but it's called Fridays for Future movement. That was started by a youth climate activist. And sustainable development goals are usually, I feel that it captures each and every country's agenda, regardless of whether it is their local, the international. SDGs actually influence the decisions that a country makes in terms of its foreign policy and etc. So by young people getting to know how they can leverage on this SDGs, the opportunities that are there, we have seen how if you're writing any proposal, for example, and you indicate something to do with SDGs, probably you've met some certain applications where they ask you if you're conversant with any SDG, if you're carrying out a project, what SDG are you focusing on, and etc. So when young people are aware about that we have SDGs, this is what no poverty actually stands for. This is what good health and well-being, gender equality, partnership with other SDGs, etc. People get to understand. And also, young people can also as well be involved in either carrying out projects or even creating support systems together with other young people who are already doing that. Another thing will be, yeah, if you've never signed a petition on any online platform, then I think you just Tegea, the one that is going to come up next. But I think this is also a way that young people use social media platforms, and they use digital spaces to enhance advocacy, especially when it comes to issues, anything, whether it's environmental, political. I think a good example will be what happened recently from June, where we had young people protesting. It all started on social media as a joke. Just someone telling you, do you know you're going to buy a sanitary towel at almost 180 shillings? And then you're like, wow, I really need to be on the streets. To someone coming to tell you that, you know, what use of plastics is actually destroying our environment. You get to learn how such plastics degrade the soil and its nutrients. So as we continue engaging on matters SDGs and policy making, people get to understand the effects of issues like use of plastics and issues, for example, like the finance bill. I think if it wasn't for those people who made videos on social media platforms, I don't think I would have opened that document, you know, that green document. Another thing is young people can also just before I move forward, on issues petition, I've noticed that there are a lot of or rather there are few organizations that have online platforms or apps where young people can be able to know what is really happening using tailor-made ways in which young people can understand the information. So for example, you have Uamuzi organization. If you check on Play Store, you're going to see Uamuzi app and you're going to see matters, policies. There's another app, I've forgotten it, but I think I'll remember. There's another app where people can be able to track what Nairobi County government is doing. They can give feedback to Nairobi County. They can raise issues in their communities. For example, if it's issues to do with waste management in certain areas, you're able to raise, and then that organization itself helps push those matters to members of the county assembly, etc. Another thing is that digital spaces have created awareness on digital conferences and webinars like what you're having right now. I mean, being able to have peer-to-peer mentorship and exchange of ideas on matters to do with sustainable development, matters to do with youth climate, youth involvement in climate. An example is when you're having the Youth Climate Summit and all these other conferences that usually take place. I see and I meet people from across the country, others from other parts of the country. It helps in mobilization and it brings young people together in a certain forum to come understand the issues that are with are with us as at now in regards, especially with the Africa Climate Summit. Young people, in as much as you didn't get a chance to attend the main conference at KCC, I'm very sure you are involved in side events, either online or physically. And that brought a lot of attention of so many people on matters to do with climate change. Where are we having rains, for example, in January? What is happening with crop production and etc.? At least you have an idea and we can be able to engage in anything that is going to bring back what used to happen before so that we can increase food production. Another thing will be fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. I think that by us knowing, if for example, if you're working on anything climate change, if you're working on the SDG, that is life underwater, etc., I'm sure there's an idea that has sparked in your head, a entrepreneurial idea. I think for me it has, especially in waste management. So young people are able to understand that SDGs are not only issues that you just discuss on digital platforms or on in conferences. These are problems that require solutions, and innovation. Innovation is the problems. What is it called? Problems is the mother. Hey, my God, English is not Englishing, but problems are what make people come up with solutions, which can be entrepreneurial. So I've seen young people who are making good money, have started their own companies, either in recycling sectors, in reusing waste, for example, and etc. etc. The last thing I would say is that also getting to learn what policies is about, what what else, what climate change is about, because one thing that most people say is that young people do not have information. We also have an organization called Edinburgh. I think it's a London school that is giving free courses online. You can check it out on matters civic education and etc. So that is something that maybe we can take part in, coming together for example, on EDX with other people from across the world coming to learn anything, getting entrepreneurship skills, digital skills, whether it's what is it called, data entry, etc. So these are some of the ways that young people can take part and also take advantage of the digital spaces, the digital platforms that are there to enhance their skills and also enhance their knowledge. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. You have really given us a detailed explanation, and I thank you for also like giving us practical examples. And yeah, the SDG are problems that actually require solutions. And we have seen the young people using the digital platforms to foster innovation, which is amazing, especially the current generation, because thanks to these digital spaces, people address such issues actually. So the next question goes to Brian. So we've now learned that young people can use the digital platforms to influence policies and advocate for changes. Will you tell us how can these digital spaces address issues, address sustainable development goals such as poverty? And yeah, so how can these digital spaces address sustainable development goals such as poverty? Brian.
Okay. Thank you so much for the good move, and so far, I can see the progress. There is a very good progress. I want to thank everyone that has joined the meeting. This is a very nice webinar or a discussion to have as youths. It's very important for us because the world is evolving digitally. So that is why there need to be a conversation on digital platforms and skills and the gaps that are actually there. So the world today, I actually my right now I am specializing in innovation. I have all my 4 years right now. I have been trying to specialize on innovation and how current gaps can be filled. And I am going to answer that question in this way: that youths, it is our time to fill the gaps that are existing. Every opportunity that comes with a gap that exists. Now, if you ever want to make steps in life, be the person who studies opportunities that are there, and then you study it looking for a gap that is existing so that you fill it with innovation. Innovation is a very nice thing, and that is what I mentor the young people in Kenya Kesho Academy too. You can never miss an idea in any opportunity that comes. For example, right now there is an AI. AI has come, but there are gaps that are existing in AI. Have you ever been keen to look at the gaps that might be existing in AI? Today, imagine someone looked at the government and there was a need to go to digital, and someone, a single person, thought and came up with an idea of e-citizen. E-citizen was an idea of one person, and right now Kenya's bought it. How I wish that we think broad as youths. Digital platforms currently has more opportunities. Safaricom was an idea of one person, and then someone came with Safaricom, and the government bought it from him. So it is possible for us. For example, in innovation, using digital spaces in fostering innovation for specific SDGs, and for example, poverty. If you check at poverty and how can we use digital platforms to eradicate poverty, and then so there are gaps that actually we can fill. Now, when you look at the gaps in poverty, you check out what are the causes of poverty. And then right now, from the recent happenings in Kenya, realized that now there was a time when most of the farmers actually bought fake fertilizers, okay? And then as a youth who hears that news in the TV and you see farmers complaining that they never harvested because of fake fertilizers, that alone is an opportunity for someone to sit down and think, oh, can I come up with something that can solve this solution, that can make farmers get good information? Can I come up with a platform that's actually going to market the ideal, the legit fertilizers to farmers? Can I come up with something that is going to be beneficial to farmers, that is going to prevent, or is there a way that farmers can verify the legitimacy of the fertilizers they buy using a platform? That means, because every sack of fertilizer has a serial number. So when we come up with such ideas, then you realize, oh, then even poverty, there is a problem of farmers accessing seeds. There is a problem of farmers knowing when is the right season to plant. Today, they are changing climatic conditions. So farmers are not ideally informed of when to plant and when to harvest. So most of them just plant, the rain fails, they try trials and error. There is an opportunity. Can you come up with a platform that can inform farmers in real-time climatic conditions, that can tell farmers that there are going to be rains in the mid of July and the rains are going to be for 2 months? That means now don't plant maize, plant this crop that can yield between the 2 months. There are a lot of opportunities that youths, if we be keen to, I hope that we are going to solve out this thing. And imagine, anytime you come up with an idea and innovation, and that's how you are going to be a CEO, and even your life is going to change. So I ask us that let us be keen. Access to market. Is there a way that farmers can access markets? For example, the fishermen of Lake Victoria, there are days when they catch a lot of fish, omena, daga, and then now they don't have the market. Is there a way? Is there a platform, a digital platform that can provide that solution, that can connect a fisherman in Kisumu directly to buyers in Nairobi? That will be better. So there are a lot of opportunities for us in digital spaces, but I've just used the example of poverty. Thank you so much. I hope I've answered it.
Okay, thank you. So I've heard you talk about basically teaching people skills, uh, which is very important because currently the youths are really using platforms to run campaigns and highlight poverty issues, sharing stories and pushing for policy changes. You've also talked about marketing, and I also understand the e-learning platforms. Yeah. So I want to hear your suggestion as the audience. Please share your suggestions in the chat box as we continue with the conversation. And also, if you have questions, share it in the chat box. Ask, sorry. So my next question is to you, Maina. So, Maina, how do you see the role of digital spaces evolving in the context of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030?
All right, thank you, Diana. And let me first of all start by saying when this question was shared with me, I first of all took a bit. As I was asking Diana, are you saving the last questions for the best? Ama ni mimi ulikuwa nataka kumaliza, but anyway, diving into the question, like the role I see for digital space, so in achieving the SDGs 2030. So the digital space for now, it's vast. I feel it's diversified and there is a need to harness it. But the role I see playing, it's very crucial because it affects our everyday to-day activities and how we run things, how we interact with our social networks, how we are able to carry out even our daily schedules. For instance, the first thing like I would talk into it would be like youth empowerment and participation. So you find that the digital space have empowered young people to engage in governance, in policy making, and even in advocacy. For example, platforms like social media, like Instagram, they have enabled the youth to raise awareness on issues like climate change, gender equality, education, and then even directly contributing to SDGs like number 4, number 5, and number 13. And what I found them doing is they are creating a lot of influence. For instance, this social media being brought for change, like it has helped the youth to use the social media to even raise awareness and educate changes and even drive the changes amongst the youth related to peace, justice, and strong institution in SDG number, it should be number 16, yeah. And for instance, in terms of raising awareness, let's talk about popular hashtags that we've seen trending, like in the recent past. And okay, let me not just go that route. I don't want to be so political today. Let me use a hashtag like my dress, my choice. So this was a hashtag that gained traction in around 2014. And so the main purpose for it was to combat the gender-based violence and advocate for women's rights. And even the campaign used digital platforms like Instagram, like Facebook. That time it was Twitter, although I know majority of us weren't still on X by that space. But you see the kind of traction it gained just by being able to be used on social spaces that majority of the young people were getting involved into, and majority of the young people like were using it on a daily basis. So yeah, there you find that it's doing a lot of youth empowerment and participation. Another thing I see is innovation and technology. So like digital spaces, they drive innovation and even enabling the creation of solutions that address global challenges like poverty, health, and education. We've seen group of people like just coming together. For instance, last year, telemedicine platform used in Babylon helped provide healthcare access to undeserved areas, aligning with SDG number 3 in good health and well-being. So what you find that this such a platform that was started by students and youths online was able to even hit the most remote person in Babylon, to a point like it gained traction, so whereby most of the people like were just referring, in case you want any issue, like in case you have an issue, in case you want to address something, you just like post it on the website. And even those people like could use like the telemedicine platform, which was an online site, and to even be able to educate, even be able to advise, and even to help the people even in the villages. So, and even according to statistics, actually, the World Economics Forum, 65% of children entering primary school today will work in jobs that do not even currently exist, emphasizing the importance of digital skills for the future workforce. This means that the digital is vast. It's I would say migrating to a point that you cannot even predict what is gonna happen tomorrow. For instance, like the AI, who knew like 10 years down the line people would hear of AI and just think of it as being like something robotics, being like something we feel it might not even be able to come and accomplish. But where are we now currently? Every other person, you want to do something, you're Googling it, you're going to ChatGPT. Some of us are using Gemini to just try and get the solutions for every problem or anything. In fact, simple things like even legal thinking. And then I also feel like another role that digital spaces are playing is education and skills development. For instance, the e-learning platforms that Cedric talks about, and even access to quality education regardless of geographical location. Like somebody in the villages, somebody in my rural area back in Nyeri can be able to even attend a university, like you can even attend the University of Nairobi just when they are being at home. They don't even have to travel all the way. Like they can even be able to access education via the e-learning platforms. Things like Aga Khan Academy, and something like Coursera, something like that. They have democratized education, even allowing youth from all over the world to access high quality learning resources that being offered at even here at Aga Khan. And even by 2030, it is estimated that 825 million children and youths in low income countries will not even have the skills needed for a job if the future digital education is not expanded. So this means like we really need to create more platforms. We really need to create more spaces for these digital areas and spaces. Then there's also I also feel like there's also like the use of data-driven decision making. For instance, saizi AI and the use of big data and AI wanatumianga like digital spaces to allow us like monitor and even evaluate the progress of many things. Ikifika ni place kama, let's use the hashtag that was trending, the Zakayo Shuka and everything, you find that most of the amount of data and analytics that was being used based on what each and every person was uploading. Somebody in Marsabit Post, somebody in Kisii, somebody in Lake region, somebody in Central, somebody who is also in the North region. Like depending on what they're uploading, we could even be able to mine those small information, and even be able to create like one big decision. Somebody says, "Uko wamechoka," mwingine amesema tunataka ushuke, and all those narratives that were being used around, and me just using it because it's the most recent thing that I've seen in our country currently. So yeah, and then finally, but not the least, I would say economic opportunities, whereby digital spaces are creating new jobs and markets. even in entrepreneurship. Things like Upwork, people are even able to, it's an example of a digital space that people are even able to enroll and even enlist and be able to do like all sorts of work depending on your capability, depending on what you think suits best for you. So yeah, thank you. And yeah, back to you, Diana.
Amazing. I've heard you talk of innovation and technology, basically the advancement in technology. You've talked about digitalization. You've even given an example of the AI, basically how it fosters innovation. Yeah. So back to you, Cedric. Just a short one. You talked about the sustainable development goals. You even introduced us the digital platforms, and we've seen the progress of how basically using the digital platforms makes more people aware, like you said.
Diana, I don't think I can hear you. You're not audible.
Sorry, sorry. Okay, so I was saying, you've talked about innovation and technology. We've also talked about digitalization by giving an example of the AI. So basically, you've mentioned that with the time, the digitalization, sorry, it fosters innovation. So back to you, Cedric. You talked about sustainable development goals, uh, the importance, and you also introduced digital platforms. I want you to tell us, for the youth in here that actually want to address the sustainable development goals, how can they use the digital tools rather to engage more youth, yeah, to engage others in sustainable practices. Cedric.
Thank you so much. Once again, so if I understood your question was how we youth can engage the digital tools to promote the achieving of these sustainable development goals, right? Thank you. So what are these tools that we have? Some we might wonder, like the tools are the digital spaces that are available at our disposal. Some of the tools, we consider knowledge a tool of, for functioning. And some of the tools that we have basic digital literacy, we have social media literacy, we can create content, we can even go as far as editing some things, we are adept with cybersecurity. So those are the tools. We also have like we are conversant with these social spaces like X. The other day we were engaging our president in the social space X. So how can we use these tools to engage others in sustainable practices? Thank you so much. So first of all, we have these tools. Now it's to use them to engage others. Who are these others? These others are the people who are not yet adept with these tools that we have. So first of all, I think it's just uh, training our fellow youth, not even really, you see, physical training. We can also do an online training to our fellow youth on maybe one of the tools, social media literacy, so that they may know how to operate a TikTok account and post things matters, climate change matters, sustainable matters, affordable consuming, not really affordable living matters, green energy. We can also create content that really is geared in, maybe let's say one of the goals is education or no poverty. We can create a reel or a video to emphasize to those people who are not adept with the technology or the digital spaces on, poverty is in this country so much. Why? Because most people don't have bank accounts. So how do you open a bank account? Like, awareness can really impact a nation very greatly, because once the nation is aware of what we are facing and what we are aiming at, like Ruth said, this is something that the SDGs are something that we need, like needs to be worked on. There, every country needs to work on it, not as a problem, but as something that will be beneficial to the country. So these tools can be, like I said, we can use. Let's say, you see, some people get hacked their WhatsApp phones, or maybe their accounts are hacked. So basically creating awareness on how cybersecurity works, on how you can safeguard your gadget, how you can avoid these scammers. These SDGs can't be tackled on a head-on, like one-on-one collision. We need to start from afar. First of all, let the people know what are these SDGs. Tell them, and also making them adept to the digital space, because once somebody is not adept to the digital space, we won't be heading anywhere, because this is a generation that deals more with much with tapping and clicking, like just as the team said, clicking to progress. So, like, we can also use our tools to create jobs for our fellow youth, like the e-commerce, create jobs like online marketing for our fellow youth, and making them like working towards achieving the goal of employment, you get. So I think basically that's what we can do as those people, as youth who are adept with technology, and we are now using the tools that we have at our disposal, the 4 tools I named that we have, to enhance and impact others, so that we can create a society that is adept to digital literacy, and a society that is working towards achieving these goals. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for that. I really hope I'm audible. I really hope so. So, back to you, Maina. I want you to tell us, rather, what do you think are the challenges young people face when trying to engage in digital spaces for sustainable development? And as you mentioned the challenges, I also want you to tell us how do you think they can overcome these challenges, and how can they be supported? Maina, are you with us? Are you still with us? Okay. As he prepares, uh, so Ruth, you mentioned some organizations, and what do you think are the challenges these organizations face in terms of sustaining the development goals?
I think one of the challenges that these organizations may face is number one, funding. I think especially for those who are developing apps, having them running, marketing them, etc., is quite a challenge to them. So you will find that someone has so much passion, they have so many dreams, they want to involve as many stakeholders as possible, but again, funding becomes an issue. But a remedy that organizations have gotten so far is getting partnerships with other organizations who are willing to walk with them the same journey. So, for example, if I'm doing something to do with civic education, probably I will partner with those who have already done it. I will partner with maybe National Youth Caucus, Kenya Human Rights, various local governments. I think partnership is one of the ways that these particular organizations um, can be able to reduce chances of them not developing because of lack of funding. Another thing will be the internet requires a lot of security, and you will notice that there are always hitches, there's always cyberbullying here and there. So there are instances of some particular apps where people have been involved in what is it called, cyberbullying, for example, and it becomes very, very uncomfortable for people to use such kind of an app. At the same time, if earlier on I mentioned about organizations, or rather digital spaces where they have to involve county governments, they expect, if, for example, if I air an issue to do with waste management, for example, or blockage somewhere, I expect the responsible person to actually take action. But one of the most surprising thing is that probably they just check it out and they don't take in any they don't take any step towards changing such. So personally, I will go to the organization and be like, your app is not really working, because how comes I air this out? You told us that you'll be following up, etc, etc, and then all of a sudden it becomes beyond them. Another thing that probably these organizations may be facing is also getting people to understand what are their roles. I think especially with young people, if you do not create anything close to fun, like I was giving an example in an earlier platform or a webinar today, that if you look at educational materials that are either uploaded on the social media, or someone is talking about maybe taxation, someone is talking about financial literacy, they usually get, like, if it can understand, a 900 likes. But let's go to people who are doing comedy, people doing dancing, they're getting 50K plus likes in maybe less than 3 days or a week. So it's also a challenge for them to keep up with their main agenda. So our main agenda is to advocate for this, is to get, but then again, remember, these people need people to view, need people to download their app, they need people to engage. So sometimes you're forced to deviate kidogo, you just get something that is exciting, something that is quite tailor-made for young people. I'll give an example for example, what led to people understanding what the finance bill has is by having these content creators, at least taking advantage of the following they have, the audience they have or they serve, to engage people on, like, hey, today we are not dancing, today we're talking about the finance bill. And then you're like, kumbe, this person is actually influencing a few people to actually go on the streets. So I feel these digital platforms are really, really okay, but they're lacking the support that they need for them to progress. They are also trying their best not to be like Twitter, because Twitter is where you can find literally everything, just like Instagram, TikTok, etc. They're trying to maintain their agenda and why they actually started that particular organization or app. But with such challenges, they're a bit unable to stand their ground, or rather they just have to find a way, but that can be solved through innovation and creativity. Oh, back to you, Diana. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we are currently in the Q&A segment. So if you have any question, just feel free to raise your hand or use the chat box. Kindly, just feel free to raise your hand or use the chat box. So as maybe you're preparing your questions, I would like to give each speaker a minute or two to tell us to give us their parting shots. Just a minute or two as I wait to receive any question, because so far in the chat box I've not seen any question. So I'll start with Brian, then Cedric, then Ruth. I don't know if Maina is around, but yeah, in that order. Just 2 minutes kindly each. In fact, it's a lot, a minute each. Okay, before you speak, kindly, Rose has raised her hand. So please feel free to ask the question. Any question?
I think we can't hear you, Rose. I don't know if I'm the only one.
Rose. Okay. Odhiambo.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I'm a bit floating because I've joined you just recently. I'm floating on matters that you are discussing a bit. If somebody can just allow me to have to be in the same script, just to allow me know what you are speaking about, because I'm hearing you giving people 2 minutes. I have nothing even to contribute. Kindly.
Okay. So, uh, Brian, kindly can you explain to him just something small on what we'll be discussing today, since he's joined a bit late.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, even though he's late. Welcome. Today we were discussing on leveraging digital skills and platforms towards achieving Vision 2030. I mean, we are living in a digital world today, and there are existing digital platforms like communication platforms, like yeah, government portals, like iCloud websites, like the digital platforms and the digital skills. Digital skills, AI skills, writing, freelancing, security, cybersecurity. So we are actually focusing on digital space, and we are focusing on how can we make use of them in a layman's language. How can we make use of them in benefit to maybe solving some challenges that are existing or gaps that are currently existing in our society. The gaps that are existing could be those are the sustainable development goals like zero poverty, industrial development, good health, access to good health, access to good education. So we are using the digital skills. How can we make use of the digital skills and digital platforms towards satisfying the goals or filling the gaps that are currently existing? I've tried. Thank you.
Actually, thank you so much. So I hope, Odhiambo, you have an idea of what we're talking about now. Try to keep it. So I'm very critical when it comes to time. So I would love to take the last question if there's anyone with any question. So if you have any question, just raise your hand or use the chat box. Okay, Gideon, I hope that's the last question. Gideon. Okay, there's someone who has raised his hand. Gideon Okumu, kindly unmute and ask the question.
I was just, I had no question. Sorry, nilinua mkono kimakosa.
Okay, it's fine. I hope there's no one else with any question. I hope we doesn't hear anyone before. Without further ado, I would want to welcome Diana. Is Diana Mogo around with us? Diana?
Yes, Diana. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thank you everyone for your time and dedication to this webinar. So I appreciate the panelists for exploring our topic And just to emphasize, YMCA, welcome to YMCA to the new members. It is a youth-led organization. We empower the body, mind, and the soul for the young people. So every Monday, we engage in conversations that issues affecting the youth every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So feel free to text me. I've posted on the inbox of the group. Yeah, feel free to participate as a facilitator or a panelist. Yes, also YMCA is a membership organization. So membership costs 500 shillings for every year. Yes, so being a member, it is a privilege to participate in our activities and also our facilities. So once more, thank you very much for this opportunity. Back to you, Diana. I think it's a coincidence. Happy International Youth Day.
Okay, thank you. So I'm supposed to give it back to Tito, but I've seen there's a question actually. So I'll want to pause this, or rather, I'll want to let Ruth handle that question in less than a minute due to the interest of time. The question is about the job scammers who are taking advantage of people. So the people who are seeking online jobs. So how can this issue be dealt with? In less than a minute, then I'll give it back to Tito.
Right, thank you. I don't know whether I actually have like quite a substantive answer about this, but I think one of the things that have do not have any regulations is our digital platforms. And I talked about earlier about cyberbullying, that we not only face job scammers, but you also have cyberbullying, and there's nothing you can do about it. I remember there's a time President Uhuru had to delete his account from Twitter because of all that was happening. Also, you saw how people were sharing and phone numbers of various members of parliament for them wasalimiwe kidogo. So I think that for some reason, when you start talking about regulation, it is something that is it should have started even before these digital platforms are introduced to various countries. And I think Kenya is one of the countries that have poor regulations in terms of its digital platforms, to an extent where things are done on the online platforms. It is up to you as an individual to either find out whether it is a scam or it is something that is factual. So if we turn to policy making, this is something that is going to take quite some time, considering I have also been part of such a space, and all the recommendations that we made were never taken into consideration. There are countries that regulate actually what is posted on their various digital platforms, that if something goes against their rules and regulations, it is immediately dropped. So I feel that at this point, before we can involve every other person, just ensure you as a person, you take up the responsibility to research and see whether this thing is actually credible or not. There are so many green lights, there are so many red flags that come with platforms. At the same time, before you post anything on any group, just go find out whether it is a scam or not, because you might end up posting something on on a certain space like YMCA group on WhatsApp, and probably it is not even credible. So you do your research. If you're the one who is forwarding, get full information and get to know whether it is a scam or not. But for now, I think we can just stick with you taking personal initiative to do research before you can actually go ahead and do anything. If you're required to pay money, just know that that particular job is like a scam, because you don't have money, you're looking for a job so that you can get money, etc. So it is good for you to do background check before you can apply, before you can also give out any money as well, which is a red flag to me. Yeah.
Thank you. Before Tito takes over, actually, what she has said is very important. I read it, and it Okay, they're very
Then so it's quite low.
okay. So yeah, so as she has said, so make sure that you do a background check. Thank you also, Cynthia. So I hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I've seen Brian Ondeka has raised his hand. Maybe just a minute because of interest of time. Maybe you wanted to respond to Ross' question. Brian?
Thank you. Just a minute. I just wanted to say, because I had an emergency, I wanted to leave. Thank you so much for actually for the invitation to speak in this platform and this discussion. On the question, I was thinking of on the job scams. I was thinking of that's also a gap that is there in the digital space. That if it can be filled, it will be nice. And I was thinking of what if we have one e-platform where every agency or every company or every organization posts their job opening. Could that solve it so that every agency that is registered by the government, so it is like an e-citizen platform where every company, every organization, if you have an opening, you post there so that any person who seeks for a job, then he simply logs into that platform. That's an idea. Someone who is interested in innovation, that's an idea. But I had an encouragement for us all. Please let us all take up the chance and make use of the digital skills and platforms, and let us also contribute positively. It will actually not make a lot of sense if we engage in these discussions and then us ourselves will remain behind. I pray that all of us, please let us take action, make use of something, identify gaps and innovate, involve in campaigns on justice, in social media, on anything good, and all will be well. Otherwise, thank you so much, the organizers. I'm very grateful. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. I think finish with the high note of innovation, and actually that needs to be done because of the digital world, everything can happen at any point. So as young people or as people who are very innovative and with the current digital innovations, we need to come up with something that can really help us. So maybe even also on my side, if I can respond to Ross' question on terms of scams on digital platforms. I know most of us may have ended in one or two because of desperation, because you need money and you need everything maybe to make your ends meet. So we can't control that, but now you need to be very vigilant when it comes to those platforms and see or no we can you can leverage on the same, because today's topic was on it was on digital skills. You can, if you can see the poster, this year's theme was from clicks to progress in youth digital pathways for sustainable development goals. So, which means that in every digital skill that you have, you can take a step to maybe be part of envisioning the Vision 2030 under the Sustainable Development Goals. And we have talked about poverty, we have talked about sustainable planet, and all those things, maybe even community well-being. And we can leverage our digital skills or digital knowledge to maybe be part of people who can actually achieve the Vision 2030. We might not be able to do the same, but I always like the last sustainable development goal, which is 17, which talks about partnership. So if we partner from different organizations, different platforms, we can really achieve this in one or another. So as the Kenya YMCA, I really want to say thank you all the panelists. Diana, your moderator was very interesting. And as the Kenya YMCA in part of maybe leveraging this, we have we have 4 pillars under the Vision 2030 on our side as Kenya YMCA, as the World YMCA. One of them being the meaningful work, and we are working so much to ensure that young people or the people of any youth are able to get maybe access to meaningful work, and we are leveraging these digital skills, and we have partnered with several partner organizations such as Ajira Digital, who always give us trainings, and we welcome you each and every time you have time. You can visit our office and look just come and ask what is going on, because most of the time we have these trainings and we don't judge them. So we are working with with Ajira Digital to actually give us these trainings on digital literacy. And at the end of the day, you get a platform where you can make money even at your own space. And then we have community well-being, whereby we do mentorship programs, we do mental health programs, gender-based violence, and we also have a sustainable planet, which is also part of SDG number 13 under the climate change. So we try to ensure that we are using digital skills on our side also to come up with solutions to combat the issues of climate change. And last but not least, we have Just One, whereby we are trying to leverage on our issues on how can we leverage the youth, the skills that the young people have, or the energy. Can we able to maybe have a just wall in terms of peace and security? How can we diffuse the issues that young people are always violent, and give ourselves that we are people of positive change? So that is what we are doing currently, and we welcome you to join our organization in terms of partnership, in terms of activities. And as Diana had mentioned earlier, I think she has shared some message there. So you just follow us, and we hope that we can have this and every time. So every Monday we have this conversation from 8 to 9 p.m. You are most welcome, and we hope that to see you in our next sessions. Thank you so much. In case of anything, you can reach out to us on all our social media platform at Kenya YMCA Central Branch. And also you can find this recording on YouTube, maybe in 2 days time or in 1 day time. Thank you so much, and have a good night.